All right. Woo! All right, we're good to go. All right, I got my opening bit. So I cooked something I've never cooked before, and it was a situation
Bugs,
where
jellyfish.
when I encountered
Poop.
when I actually acquired the ingredient and held it in my hands, I went online to ask the question of how do I tell if this thing is rotten?
Yep.
As in, is this what this should look, feel, and smell like?
Daikon.
No. This was black garlic.
Oh, I've had black garlic before.
Yeah, I'd had black garlic, but I never encountered it in its raw form before.
Oh, I've had it. It's fine. I've cooked with it.
Do you know what it is? Like what the deal is with
It's
it?
just like a different garlic species or
Nope.
infused with
Nope.
something
Nope.
or something
No,
like that.
nothing. Not at all.
All right.
Black garlic
I looked
is
it up and then I forgot.
it's regular old garlic that's basically put in a special hot room for months.
Okay.
And it sits there slowly turning black and gooey.
All right.
And it basically breaks down a lot of the garlicky stuff in it, and it makes it much more like it makes it actually a very different flavor. So I made some ramen with it, and it was A+. And
Yeah, why not?
now I'm gonna start cooking with black garlic a little more
You
often.
gotta
I think.
get black garlic
So you can make it yourself.
in a hot room.
Yeah, maybe. So apparently, what a lot of people do is they take if they buy a new rice cooker, like a Japanese one, because this apparently is very popular in Japan. They'll take the old rice cooker, set it on the warming setting, like they'd cook some rice, and just put a bunch of garlic in it and let it sit for a few months. It's possible it'll just rot depending on if you get the temperature right and all
You
that.
don't say.
But yeah, black garlic, pretty good.
Mm.
And that ramen I made was pretty good.
Mm.
So yeah, that's the most exciting thing that happened to me in the last few days.
Okay. What exciting happened to me?
You got anything for an opening bit?
My back hurts, which has never hurt my whole life. You know, so many people in the world have back pain so much that, you know, I think back pain is like the biggest scam in the world of like people promising to help you with it.
Well, because a lot of back pain, there's literally nothing that can be done.
Yeah, but this-
and
this-
when a doctor tells you that, some people say, "Oh shit," and some people say, "I'm going to go to an increasingly crazy series of doctors until one of them says something."
And then even though they can't actually help you. But anyway.
Yeah.
Uh,
Don't go to chiropractors. They're faking literally every case.
Yes, do
Just
not.
in case you don't know that.
Anyway, so this morning I'm just getting ready to go to work, you know, and I think I was like picking up my keys. Who knows what? I forget. But like basically my left side moved in a weird way and I felt something go doink. And I was like, it felt like, did a bone pop out or like
Yup.
or like a muscle flipped over?
Welcome
or,
to I am older than 30 because
I
I feel
don't
like
know.
when you're under 30, if your back hurts or like it's always because like you took an injury and you can say, well, when I fell off that mountain, that's why my back hurts today.
Yeah, but anyway, so it something in my back left middle area went doink. And it's been slightly annoying all day.
I suspect what'll happen is when you go to bed, because I'm a little older than you. Old man Ram can give you some advice. I suspect it's going to feel worse in the morning and not better.
Maybe.
If that, because it sounds like you have the same thing that Pete was talking about in the forum.
Mm.
So yeah, good luck with that. I've been there. The last time it happened to me, I was laying in bed and I tried to get up in the morning and I can't sit straight up. I just can't.
Ah.
So
I mean, I can't sit straight up anyway.
so I like rolled on,
It's
like
not
I'm
really
laying
a
in
pro-
bed
it's
and
not
I
a pro-
I can't basically do a forward sit up.
Mm-hmm.
So I roll on my side and I kind of push myself up and my back's just like, yeah, fuck you today. And then after a week, it just went away and the doctor was like, yeah, that happens. You're over 30.
Well, if it lasts long enough, I'll go to a doctor, but
Yeah.
not.
No, you know what the doctor said the last time I went to him about a back thing? He literally said, and I'm quoting here, if that keeps happening for a few months, come back in.
Yep, pretty much.
Yeah. So, you got any news?
I do have a news. So, you know, we should talk about comics more. I'm reading comics more because I'm trying to clear out my comic shelf.
I'm reading comics less because I'm watching a lot more anime and TV.
I'm trying to get, well, great. Get so erudite. Because my shelf is starting
Hey,
to...
anime's good. And I'm
My
watching
shelf
good
is
TV.
starting to lean over a little bit. So I'm trying to, you know, read
I don't want to come over and find you dead under a pile of comics.
It's possible. Anyway, I'm trying to read the comics, and for anyone who doesn't know, there's a guy named Ed Piskor. I don't know how to say his name. Might just be Piskor. I don't know. It's spelled Piskor, and he basically went to like the Kubert comic school, and you know he partnered up with he's done some work with some pretty famous people, And the main comic I know him for is Hip Hop Family Tree, which is this really awesome comic, if you've never seen it, that basically talks about the history of hip hop and tells right, and the art style is just phenomenal. So he is now making a comic. I couldn't believe that they got him to make this comic. It's called X-Men Grand Design, right? And basically, for a Marvel Comics, it's incredibly strange for one person to write it, draw it, penciling, coloring. He's doing the whole thing because that's what he does. Usually you get a whole team of people. He's doing everything. And it's basically he's going to retell the real X-Men story, the whole thing, right? With no it's not going to tie into anything. It's just going to be like, oh, tired of reading all these convoluted X-Men comics? You just want to read the real X-Men story. Here it is, all in this one self-contained graphic novel, wait for the trade situation. But the first issue comes out or just came out soon.
I can read that. I feel like I could enjoy this.
That's the thing is like I like X-Men so much. Like the two comics I bought when I was a kid in the 90s buying comics, I bought Spider-Man 2099 because it was Cyberpunk, it was Spider-Man, the Spider-Man 2099's asshole. And it started at number 1, so I could start and get the whole thing. And the other comic I bought was X-Men because I'd started at number 1, and I was watching X-Men on Fox. And that comic, it wasn't a comic that was like one of those ones that's just retelling the exact episodes in comic form. But it was the same characters who looked the same.
Yeah, that's pretty. My continuity was the same. It was always. I've tried to find the comics that look the same as the Fox cartoon, and that's how I got into X-Men.
It was adjectiveless X-Men is what it's known as. The one where Jim Lee did the cover for number 1 or whatever. They folded out, right? That one. So those are the two comics I read as a kid, and I really like X-Men. I like the X-Men characters. I like the fundamental X-Men story, which I guess we talked about in our last book club a bit. But it's really hard to read any X-Men now because it's fucked the fuck up.
I mean, what I like to say is that I love everything about the X-Men except reading the comics.
Yeah, so getting Ed Piskor's style going on, plus just, retelling the real X-Men story is excelente. I'll be buying this trade for sure.
Yeah. So, quick geek bite, because Emily and I and a bunch of friends actually went to see Coco in the theater. It's actually still in the theaters right now, the new Pixar movie.
It'll be there a while.
Yeah, and
probably till the holiday season's over.
It's real good.
I mean, has there been a Pixar movie where people said it's real bad?
Yeah, I guess I feel like it's in my top 2. Like, it was real good.
Isn't like anything they make just assumed to be real good?
It's pretty much all about skeletons.
Yeah.
It's got the skeleton. It is up Rim's alley in a lot of ways. I don't really want to spoil anything about it. I feel like you should go in to see it.
Spoil about a kids movie.
But what's interesting about it?
There's a happy ending.
Well,
the main character's a kid.
Well, so what it's really about is when your parents die and relatives die, how you deal with that.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't pull any punches, and the heel turn that I expected because it was a Pixar movie and they telegraphed it the whole time. Was way darker and more fucked up than it went into a lot of dark places, way beyond what I expected. And also the music is fantastic.
I mean, it's a Disney musical.
Yeah, but the music goes beyond that.
Even crappy Disney movies, right? Like ones that are like not remembered or not cared about very much.
Even Pocahontas has fantastic music.
That are musicals. Like Pocahontas.
But this one's different
in
that the plot is about a musician and most of the music is him performing or other people performing in the context of the actual story.
Yeah, there's plenty of those.
It's fantastic. And if you haven't seen it in the theater, I highly recommend you go see it in the theater. It is beautiful. The skeletons are done better than any non-share zone skeleton I've ever seen.
I mean, I don't disagree, but I feel like we're saying all that is sort of unnecessary because it's like all you have to say is like, oh, Pixar has a new movie. It's like, oh, all those things you just said are just obvious. Like you don't need to have someone tell them to you.
But I feel like it's a cut above most Pixar movies.
I mean,
I really think it is.
Okay.
And you'll have to see it to see. I guess Emily and I will review it in depth on Patreon because you haven't seen it yet.
I mean, I'll probably see it when I see every other Pixar movie, which is like 5 to 10 years after they come out.
I'm sure you can just find it on the high seas.
I mean, what's the hurry? It's like, it's not going anywhere. It's going to be easily obtainable for decades.
It looks pretty good in the theater. What was interesting, though, late Friday night showing still had mostly kids in the audience.
I go to the theater for things that won't be easily obtained.
Like Hateful Eight.
Yeah. I'm sure you can buy that on DVD now.
Yeah, but you can't see it.
Not in 70 millimeters.
No one has a TV that's going to show that properly.
Someone
You're
does.
gonna have this one long thin line down the middle of your monitor.
I've seen some $1 million TVs, but yeah.
I mean, I guess you could watch it on one of those like double wide silly gaming monitors, like the curved ones. That's
No.
wide enough at least.
Yes.
Wouldn't be high enough res. That's just 1080p, like times 2.
Those are just two 1080p monitors stuck to each other on
But
the
at
side.
least they're wide enough. I mean, if I looked at it on my screen, there'd be like 2 inches in the middle.
Right. Anyway.
Let's get right into it. That was 2 main bits. Well, 2 newses. That all seems like it's working. Literally, like it seems like every time we have a stream, there's a couple of new people who are like just GeekNights fans who show up, and they always ask the exact same thing: why is Scott squinting? What is Scott squinting at? Why are Scott's eyes closed? You guys just don't understand. We've never looked at each other in 13 years of doing Geek Nights.
Why should I keep my eyes open? I'm just look at like this white wall.
This is the problem with putting radio on video. Radio, we don't even have to be in the same room. If you listen to Dave and Joel, they're not in the same room.
They're
on
like,
Skype.
I can have lights on that are hurting my eyes
Yep.
and look at nothing. There is no visual stimulus that I need to be looking at while I'm doing the show. And it's only going to damage my eyes.
You're lucky I'm wearing clothes.
I'm better off closing them, then I can just concentrate on the audio part and my thoughts.
You're looking.
What's the point of keeping my eyes open? What is there to look at?
You're lucky I'm wearing clothes. You're lucky Scott's
If
up.
there was an live audience, I would have my eyes open to look at them and gauge their reactions. But there's literally no visual information that I need. Why have my eyes open?
But
I'm
also,
sitting. I'm not even walking.
You
or
guys
anything.
might notice if we do panels, like when we're on stage, the dynamic's actually a little different because we have to keep track of all that like visual stuff. Like, am I holding the microphone dumb? Am I standing in the right place?
What
like,
slide are we on?
Yeah. So I got to worry about all that, which actually makes it harder to come up with novel jokes. I usually plan my jokes.
Here's
in
a better
advance.
question, right? Why does Howard Stern have his eyes open?
Yeah. Well, he's not. They're passing notes around that big table that he records at.
Oh, I don't know how he records, but like it's not since the 90s.
So I do know.
Last time I saw him was in the 90s. I don't even know what's going on with him now.
I actually did know because I watched a thing about it. Because back when we were trying to make Geek Nights happen,
he's got like other people in there, but it's like they don't have to see each other.
No, well,
do a radio show.
As far as I could tell, what they do is a lot of those people aren't saying much. They're trying to come up with jokes based on like the context, and they're like writing on a piece of paper and pass them around. And when it's ready, they'll get it all the way around to him, and then he'll use the quip at the appropriate time.
That's how it works.
That's the kind of stuff that they do.
Oh, he's got to read something. Is the point?
Yeah, you guys realize
nowadays you would use a computer for that.
I read like
I have seen a lot of radio hosts these days that like they're looking at a computer the whole time because they're controlling the music or that sort of stuff. But not for a podcast.
Well, I mean, like the podcast, like what I do on the stream, it's just my screen. Like if you think we sound smarter on the show than in person, that's because I'm literally looking at this Wikipedia or whatever while we're talking.
I guess if I'm interviewing a person, I would have to look at them, but we're not doing that.
Yeah, you know what? Half the time when we have a guest on Geek Nights, Scott and I are both facing away from the guest who then just really creeped out and doesn't know how to respond.
Yeah.
That has happened.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I guess we can go on with the... But anyway, things of the day. So, as you know, I do this perennial panel at anime conventions mostly called Foreign Anime Openers or like anime openers around the world. I change it up, and I just have this rotating library of anime openers translated into languages other than Japanese and English.
Which
and
is originally my deal.
But you never actually made it. Like, I made the panel.
I was like, I've discovered that it was a thing, and I think I made a blog post that had like a ton of them in it.
Yeah, you know what? You know how much of a pain in the ass it was to turn that into a legit panel and like research all this shit and like figure, because half the foreign anime openers you find on YouTube are actually fakes or they're made by fans, and you really gotta like figure this stuff out. So anyway, I just found the motherlode. And part of the problem is I don't speak most of these languages, meaning I don't speak any of these languages.
You speak one language.
I can look up the name of a show in another language and like do some copy paste, but I might copy paste the wrong thing. Like it's tough. So I just now was looking for a thing of the day because I wanted to see if I could find a quick copy of one of the Ranma Christmas specials. That's a good Wednesday thing of the day. And I ended up finding, purely in a recommended video, the Arabic opener to Ranma. And
we should have done all holiday things of the day to match up with our all Halloween related.
that's a
October
really good
things of the
idea,
day.
and I feel dumb that we didn't do that. I'm going to do that for the rest of the month.
Right.
That's easy enough. So I found the opener to Ranma 1/2, the yapapa yapapa, but in Arabic. And because of all the stupid research I did for that panel, I know this is legit because it's from Spacetoon as the Spacetoon logo. Spacetoon is the Arabic anime channel based out of Dubai, and also I just learned a little while ago Damascus.
They still what's going on in Damascus?
I literally don't. I'm not even sure what's going on in Yemen or Qatar at this point.
Well, that's a little different situation.
But a lot of these places, I don't really understand what's going on despite reading the news. I digress.
Because there's not a lot of journalists going there.
So anyway, this video is legit. It's got the Spacetoon logo, and then I noticed that it's on the Spacetoon channel, and it turns out I never thought to look for the Spacetoon channel in Arabic because there's this Spacetoon channel on YouTube, and it's just all. I think it's every Arabic anime opener there is.
Mm-hmm.
It's just here. It's an official video in high quality. Good times are coming because I'm doing this panel at MagFest.
That's only one language, though, even though it's many animes.
Yeah, but you know what? I feel like Arabic language anime is underrepresented among a lot of people who don't think that people in Arabic-speaking countries like anime. So, and also,
I know they like anime.
they love
we K-pop too.
We do. Imagine Captain White Boy Internet user who shows up to a random panel at 8 a.m. at MagFest. Of course, actually, an attendee at MagFest probably knows this stuff. But anyway, this is pretty great, and that's my thing of the day. You can go peruse this channel, and already I found some gold in there. So what do you got?
Oh, thing of the day, right. What was it? It
was something related to the Itano Circus.
That's right.
Yeah.
Basically, this video isn't that great. This is not a great thing of the day.
I thought Scott always had the great things of the day.
Not
Rube
always, just
sucks.
most of the time. Anyway, I mean, even Tom Brady lost. He got his ass kicked by the Dolphins. Anyway, so basically, if you don't know what the Itano Circus is, when you're watching anime and there's missiles going all over the place, like whoosh, 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 right? That's called an Itano Circus because this guy, Ichiro Itano, invented it. And here's a very short video that shows you many of these, which are very enjoyable to watch, and also discusses them and their history briefly. It's only 3 minutes long, but I think it's something that comes up every once in a while, and it seems like people who really know about anime, just for them, this is common knowledge, right? It's not even a thing that needs to be explained for anime nerds. But for other people, it's this revelation, oh, that's a thing. Oh, what the And so this is a useful video. Maybe you, being an anime nerd who watches GeekNights, don't need this video. But if you pass this video around to people who are only barely into anime or watch anime but don't care about it.
Or if you're trying to get a free badge to one of those small anime cons that we don't really go to, just watch this video and then turn it into a panel about Itano Circus, and you could probably get a free badge.
Yeah, it's the kind of thing that they will very much enjoy. And the video is pretty well made by whoever made it. What's the channel?
Oda Quest.
All right, good job, Oda Quest.
It only has 800 views.
Yeah, you're good at making videos, Oda Quest.
Oh, well, I'll subscribe to you. You got no subscribers. I'll throw some love.
Yeah, well, also love to Oda Quest.
Yeah.
Of course, I don't know anything else about them.
Watch.
Maybe I'll retract that
For
love.
all you know, it's a milkshake duck. I'll click on this channel right now. Let's see
I
what's
might
going
have
on.
to detract my.
All right, interview with Kung Gao, co-founder of Crunchyroll.
Okay.
All right, they're doing some stuff here. Looks like it's pretty new. There's only a few videos.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Okay.
All right. We'll see how this goes.
Yeah.
So yeah, in the meta moment, the book club book is the new translation of The Odyssey by Emily Wilson.
I just want to talk about something for a second. So I was thinking, hey, maybe to make the book club episode actually good, I'll put in some effort and I'll read some other Odyssey translations.
I have read other Odyssey translations.
I meant, but not recently.
I'm not going to read one of those again.
Well, I thought, right? So I go looking on here on Amazon, right?
Which ones are on Amazon? I'm curious.
Oh, so there's one. That's the Emily Wilson one is the one that we're doing, correct?
Yes,
Right.
the new one.
There's a Signet Classic one that looks like, a legit one, right? Oh, because I'm searching on my tablet, I don't get the Kindle ones. Oh, do you have the Scroll down a little bit. This Mario. Yeah, what's the title of that one? Look.
This one?
Yeah, the one with the blue generic Kindle cover.
The Odyssey rendered into English prose for use of those who cannot read the original.
That's a free Kindle edition.
Yes.
Scroll down, though, there's another free Kindle edition that's just called the Odyssey.
Here's one: the Iliad and the Odyssey all together by Homer. Just I don't know who translated it.
Right. It's like some of these are $0 Kindle editions, and I don't know how those translations even compare to like the Signet Classic one. Right.
I honestly don't know. I do not know which translations I've read. All I know is I've read 2 different translations. And all I could say about them in high school is that
I read 2, whatever one I read when I was young, and pop-up book.
One of them was pleasant to read and made sense, and one of them felt like shoving nails into my eyes.
But anyway, we're reading this one, which is the Emily
Wilson one.
Emily Wilson. That's the one.
Pretty much, if you search for a translation of the Odyssey, because this is new, and it's...
If you search for Odyssey on Amazon, the #1 result is this book, and the #2 result is Mario Odyssey.
The interesting things
Switch.
are that it's a modern translation that uses colloquial language where possible while maintaining the artistry of the original to make it more accessible and relatable, which I'm always a fan of. It also, too, it's the first major translation done by a woman, and that perspective is very interesting and very elucidating, apparently. I haven't read it yet, as to the things that are in the Odyssey that all the men who have translated over the years didn't really seem to think much about.
Yeah,
this translator said, hey, what about all the slaves that got fucking murdered at the end?
Yeah, I still feel like I need to read a man translation and then read this translation to be able to compare and contrast in the book club.
You know what we should do? Let's pick one.
You know, with a fresh memory, not because my memory of the Odyssey is basically like,
okay,
he leaves. I don't remember. Is the Cyclops
leaves
first?
where? Leaves where? Where is he, Scott? Where does he start?
I'm just gonna name Greek cities until I
No,
get
he's
it
not
right.
in his. Well, yeah, the Trojan War, but that's not where Where is he when the Odyssey begins? He's on an island having sex with a hot goddess, not a goddess, but a witch, basically.
Is it Cyprus?
Circe is the person.
No, Circe is the witch.
Yes.
Yes. Anyway, I know the basics of the story.
Let's each.
I don't know
You know what we
the
should do,
deep-
Scott? Let's pick some other one of these translations, a stodgy one.
I'm just gonna one of the $0 ones.
And let's each just pick like one section to read the original of, like maybe the Cyclops part.
That's a good idea. The lazy but also kind of okay way.
I feel like we should do the part we should read together from the old one, just to compare, should probably be the part near the end where he comes back and he hides himself. And then they murder all the servants and they get rid of all the suitors and all that stuff. Because that's near the end.
That's a good idea, choosing a few parts. Maybe we should do, here's a balance between the two. Ready?
Yeah.
The first chapter, the last chapter.
And the Cyclops.
And pick Cyclops, Sirens, Poseidon. Pick one of them.
All right, we'll pick one.
Pick one of the monster encounters.
Yeah.
You know.
It's basically just a series of D&D encounters.
Pretty much. That's right. It's, those are just the big ones.
Oh, this beautiful goddess-like woman, I'm having sex with her. Nope, time to go home. And that actually happens twice.
Yep.
So yeah, this should be really interesting because I've been meaning to reread the Odyssey.
We're not going to read any Iliads though.
I've never actually read the Iliad. Full disclosure.
Isn't there like also the Aeneid or whatever?
The Aeneid?
I don't know.
I've read all of the what's his name? I've read like Antigone and Oedipus and all those. Multiple translations.
Nope.
Antigone's pretty good. Oedipus is pretty good too.
Which one has stories about my man Agamemnon in it?
Agamemnon, that's the Iliad.
Yeah. All right. Well, I guess I'll be checking that out.
Agamemnon.
Legolamnon.
Yeah. I got feelings on Agamemnon.
he's badass. That's all I got to know.
Yeah, he had his issues though.
I mean, so does Kenshiro.
Yeah.
We didn't do any other meta moment.
Yeah, I'm saving that.
Legolamnon.
Otherwise, we're going to be hanging around New York until the end of the year, and then, real quick, next year, we're going to be at PAX South. We're going to be doing a panel on Friday, January 12th at PAX South at 4 p.m. in the Bobcat Theater, Balance in Game Design.
Gow gow.
We're also going to be there. Gow gow.
It's a bobcat.
That's not, Bobcats don't say that.
What do they say?
Only bears say that.
What do bobcats say?
I don't even know.
It's like they're all growling animals say gow gow. Doesn't matter.
Yeah,
a lion says gow gow.
I feel
tiger
like
says gow gow.
after Yurikuma, gow gow is exclusively the domain of bears.
Okay.
So, yeah, we'll be there. Otherwise, just playing games, hanging around. We'll also be at MagFest doing a bunch of panels, including a bunch of new panels. It's going to be exciting times.
I'm also going to be doing a secret impromptu panel, How to Dig Dug. You have to be at the Dig Dug when I'm there, and you'll get it. It'll take 2 minutes.
Ooh, a Dig Dug impromptu. That'll be interesting.
How to Dig Dug. If anyone catches me at a Dig Dug machine and says, Scott, I want to know how to Dig Dug, I will tell you how to Dig Dug.
So also, if Scott, since you're joining Netflix and dropping the
I already signed up for my Netflix.
I think you'll actually like Stranger Things, but season 2, if you decide to watch the second season, Dig Dug features prominently on both.
I did see a screenshot on the web of someone playing a Dig Dug. That was definitely from that show.
The arcade game itself features prominently in the plot. The arcade game itself features prominently in allegory
so,
to
like, Pukas and Figars come out of the kid's closet or something and burn him in his sleep.
Let's just say that it also applies allegorically to things that happen in the show, and then it applies literally to a thing that happens in the show.
Someone has to dig and someone inflates someone until they explode.
So the only thing that does not happen is the inflating.
Okay.
But
do they get burned by the Figar?
Oh, watch your show.
Do they eat an eggplant?
There is
that they found underground randomly? Shady vegetables.
You'll see.
Okay.
If you like season 1, which I actually do think you will, I think you're gonna. It's not a Ready Player One situation like you're worried about.
Well, I'm just saying because, like, you know, I'm not saying it is a Ready Player One situation.
But if you talk to some fan of it,
if you look at the promotional media, or if you just look at like Twitter comments and just try to get an idea.
Kids, remember E.T.?
If you try to get an idea of the show
by me?
based on screenshots and these sorts of, just the ephemera that is about in the nerdosphere,
yep,
it feels like it's a Ready Player One.
Yep, but whereas Stranger Things uses a scalpel and the tools of an artisan, Ready Player One is. I was going to say something really mean about Ready Player One.
The fist of a ham?
That's giving it too much justice because that's too close to steamed hams, which are good. So yeah. Save plenty of time.
You're going to need a lot of time.
Save plenty of time to talk about GoLion.
All right, so here's the deal, right? So now as a kid, Voltron was hot shit, but as a kid, I watched it, and my friend had the real Voltron toy, the whole thing, and everyone was jealous, and he still has it, even though he's like 2 years older than me and like a fancy lawyer.
So I never watched Voltron as someone who has adult or even teenager perspective.
See, as a kid, all I remembered from Voltron was like, there's 5 colors of lions.
I knew that.
They combined.
Yep.
The 5 characters. Here's what they look like.
I knew the combined one had a sword.
They're in a castle. It has a sword. It fights monsters. I only remembered like the vague imagery of Voltron. I didn't remember any details. But then in high school, Voltron was on Toonami. So I would get home, right? When they finally added Cartoon Network to our cable subscription, it was still on Toonami, and that was the first show. Get home immediately, Voltron. It's like, yes, finally, Voltron. This is before you could just download stuff from the internet. There was no way. There was no DVDs. There was literally no way for me to re-experience Voltron after my childhood until it was on Toonami, right? And I watched it again, and then I was able to remember more details of Voltron. And then sometime during RIT, I think they put out a DVD box set.
Yep.
And I bought only the first season in like a tin.
I remember that.
In a tin thing, and I was able to watch the first season of Voltron. But this was all the U.S. Voltron, which I knew was edited to some extent from 2 different anime, right? There was an anime called GoLion, which was the lion Voltron, the Voltron that we give a shit about.
Well, Beast King GoLion.
Right. And then there was some other anime.
Dyrugger.
Okay. That involved like a 30-something vehicles that combined or some shit. And I never even, I didn't find out till internet days that there even was a vehicle Voltron, because that was never on TV where I lived anywhere. So for me, Voltron was only Lion Voltron.
I have the even weirder experience of, I know I must have in my pre-sentient days watched Voltron because I had some Voltron toys, and I had a Voltron board game that we played all the time.
I had a Voltron Halloween costume, the crappy kind with the plastic mask and the plastic sack you shoved over yourself.
So the Voltron board game that I had, which I still have, my mom has it actually,
Is it just roll your dice, move your
no.
dice? No.
So I think, based on how this is it. Based on my memories, remember that Knizia Lord of the Rings game?
Like, I've seen the box for this game, but I've never seen the inside of it.
So remember the Knizia Lord of the Rings game?
The
where,
co-op game that's,
where your guys are moving forward on the corruption track, but Sauron's also moving closer together, and if they touch, you lose?
That's the only good part of the game.
I'm pretty sure the Voltron game has that same mechanic and is actually co-op.
Maybe.
So
I have no idea how the game works.
But I don't remember because as a kid, this was before I was sentient, so I would play this game without actually knowing how it worked.
Anyway.
But the fact that I had the game in the toys implies that I watched the show Voltron, and I remember all these oddly specific details, but I don't remember the game.
So anyway, Voltron is a big
the
deal.
show.
There's I think there's a new Voltron show that's all the rage.
It's
these
apparently
days.
great. It's done by, I guess, a lot of the same people who did Avatar, The Last Airbender, which is also great.
Where can you watch it?
I don't know.
All right, anyway.
We should probably watch it, though.
There's also some other remakes of Voltron. There's also a bunch of Voltron comics. Like, when I was in the RIT days, I was buying Voltron comics that were actually quite good, but there have been bad and good ones over the years. Regardless.
But we're not talking about any of that.
In the U.S., we had this edited Lion Voltron, this edited vehicle Voltron that were somehow combined into two shows that were played back-to-back, and I guess were both called Voltron. But the actual show is called GoLion. So a few weeks ago,
Beast King GoLion.
Right, I was on Crunchyroll, and I was trying to watch the March Comes In Like a Lion, Gatsu no Lion, whatever, about the show, the depressed kid who plays Shogi.
I want to watch that.
I watched like 1 or 2 episodes. It was, it was worth at least searching for again. And when I searched, I just typed lion into Crunchyroll. It was like, lion, press enter. And that show didn't appear. The only show that appeared was GoLion. And I'm like, oh, that's on Crunchyroll. So I watched that instead.
So all Scott said to me was, hey, you should watch GoLion, we'll do a show on it.
Right, hey, you should watch the GoLion, we'll do a show on it. Won't that be a good show? Talk about the actual Japanese GoLion, and not the Voltron. Right?
So my very initial impressions from the first few minutes are, one, I definitely as a kid did not at any point remember Voltron involving the horrific mutilation of slaves by monsters.
Yeah, so I knew the show had been edited because there's a character who dies. I never actually saw that character until high school.
So I remember this weird thing as a kid where there was a rumor that a character died, and no one...
Right, because when you're watching shows in syndication on TV, they don't play them in order or anything like that, right? So the only episodes of Voltron...
But the one weird kid who'd always the guy died and they covered it up.
The only episode...
He must have known something.
The only episode of Voltrons I saw when I was a kid didn't have Sven in them. He was called Sven in the U.S. version. I think he was called Quiet in this version.
Well, Quiet's his nickname. It was Takashi Shirogane.
Sure, whatever. But anyway... he had a stereotyped Swedish accent, like the Swedish chef in the U.S. one, and basically, you could tell if you had any amount of intelligence. When I watched it in high school on Toonami, I could tell, hey, that character totally died in the original Japanese, and they hid it by editing. So I knew that it was edited that much. But now, watching the actual GoLion with subtitles, you have no idea. This show was edited extremely heavily.
If I had to say in terms of what the editing is, or what
it wasn't just erasing one character's death.
It felt a lot like when I started watching Fist of the North Star. I started watching this.
GoLion is way closer to Fist of the North Star than it is to. It's not as Fist of the North Star, but
no.
But it's definitely got tons and tons of violence and horror that is not present at all in US Voltron.
I want to try to summarize the plot together up until they have the real castle and they make Voltron.
Right.
Because it's just serial, every episode just continues from the last one.
Oh, and eventually, once the setup is done, it becomes Monster of the Week, but there is a little bit of serialness even in the Monster of the Week episodes where basically the status quo will sometimes change ever so slightly in an episode, and then they carry it going forward. So even though it's Monster of the Week, eventually the first 5, 6, 7 episodes are really building up the world.
If you watch the first 6 episodes, it's basically a movie.
I haven't watched to the end, but I think there is an end at the ending, and you might be able to if you figure it out, skip over a lot of the Monsters of the Week.
Oh, the other big thing that's different is that Voltron starts on that planet, but here GoLion starts on Earth, and Earth is gone.
Yep.
So basically, the show starts with a slave ship filled with these weird leather-looking dudes whipping the shit out of a whole bunch of slaves.
Yep.
And then the slave ship lands at a slave planet where the slaves are forced to fight to the death against these Death Black Guardians.
So the Death Black Guardians are awesome because, like, where the hell did these come from?
You know what these are? These are like the monsters that the Inquirai make in The Prince of Nothing.
Yeah. So
and
these...
if you say Rim, that's not... Like, that sounds weird. That is the closest thing I can think of. They are made with occult fire.
Right. The Death Black Beasts are made with a combination of, they take the slaves who were victorious in combat, plus evil magic, plus feeding them the dead other slaves. And they combine those things to create horrific monsters that then fight slaves and become even more powerful combat beasts.
It's way worse than the prison planet in Dune.
This isn't like
that they get the Imperial
this
Guard
isn't
from.
alluded to in GoLion. This is straight up said. That's exactly where how they're
You
made.
watch a tournament where the Emperor is like, I need stronger Death Black Guardians, and he has a tournament where they're all trying to behead as many people as possible as fast as possible.
Yep.
And then literally a witch uses occult magic that is called like occult fire to make the baddest ass Death Black Guardian even more crazy and fucked up.
Right.
And then they put him in a coffin and shoot him at the planet.
The coffins were in the U.S. one.
Yeah, but they shoot him at the planet like a gun, and he pops out to go kill people.
Right. So the one thing I got to say that's really great about this show is that the designs of the Death Black Beasts, which are called Row Beasts in U.S. Voltron, are all really unique and fantastic. Like
they're crazy.
Whoever designs the visuals of these monsters, like even though it's Monster of the Week, every episode you're getting a different and unique, incredible looking monster.
Like that second one, let's get a Juggernaut looking guy with a weird eye, like the one Cyclops guy in He-Man.
Right.
Give him some muscles, a spike coming out of
it's like
guns coming out of his nipples.
Evangelion can only design so many unique looking angels, but even the fanciest angels don't compare to a row beast, a Death Black whatever. And there's
Death Black Beast Man.
There's so many Death Black Beast Men because there's one almost every episode. There's a new one.
But this construction of how they're made is just literally shown to you.
Right. So
even better, along with all that, you get this sort of setup of Voltron, meaning, GoLion, was this entity, some robot someone made that I guess has its own AI.
We don't know if he was made, but he's presented as if he's a living being who happens to be in a robot shape that looks like it has 5 lion heads.
And who has existed forever. No one knows where he came from.
Right. It's like
all he does is going around fighting people.
Yeah. So
in space.
So the original.
I guess he shows up at a planet and just starts killing people.
In U.S. Voltron, they called him Defender of the Universe, and I would argue, Voltron is way more powerful than like even Ava's or whatever. He defends literally the whole universe, and really nothing can fuck with Voltron. And GoLion, right, is even more powerful.
Yeah, GoLion
than U.S. Voltron, who's actually the same robot.
So
GoLion kills and battles every being worth fighting in all of the universe.
Kind of like Bruton.
And then, challenges Pluto, whatever.
Yeah.
Challenges the goddess of space herself.
Who is basically a Sailor Moon goddess who was like, son.
Yeah, that's the only thing GoLion can't mess with is the goddess of all space.
It's so great. You get all these shots of him fucking up all these space monsters.
Yep.
And suddenly he goes to attack this goddess who's just like this beautiful woman surrounded by doves. And she's just like, nope. What's wrong with you? I'm the goddess of space.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
So she punishes him by sending him down to a planet and separating him in 5 pieces or whatever.
And I guess, I don't know if whatever animus, like what animated him is still in him or is gone because
now he's going to be piloted by people.
He's piloted by 5 humans after this.
Yeah, and no longer has his own will. Maybe he does, but it doesn't express itself.
So the other beginning is that our 5 main characters are researchers / space pilots who are off doing something in space.
Yes, they're basically 5 bad. This is always in every telling of Voltron comics that whatever.
There's 5 badasses.
There's basically 5 incredible badasses,
and they are badasses. They barely need the Voltron lions to fight.
Yes, they're basically these 5 badasses.
Like the one short kid basically fights off like the entire galactic army for a while just with one pistol.
They're spacemen. It's like Captain Harlock, right? It's like his crew is all badasses. So it's like 5 badasses in space, but they've been captured.
Well, let's back up. They come back to Earth after a long mission in space, and they find that Earth, planet of the apes, and is gone.
Oh, right.
It thermonucleared itself. Earth is destroyed. Everyone's dead. And they have this long moment of, no, why play God?
Yeah, that wasn't in the U.S.
Yeah. You get all these shots of like children dying in nuclear holocaust.
Right.
And then this spaceship shows up on the horizon, and it's this evil empire that didn't destroy Earth. Earth destroyed itself. This empire is like, hey, Earth got destroyed. Let's go see if there's any slaves to steal.
We want those irradiated slaves.
But I just love this fact
Feed them
that
to our beast men.
the evil empire didn't even need to destroy Earth. They ignored Earth, and Earth destroyed itself.
Yep.
So the Dai Basel, who is the emperor, I'm just calling him the emperor.
I mean the emperor. But I think in the U.S. one he was called King Zarkon.
Yeah.
But in this one he's Dai Basel, something I can't even pronounce.
So
But just is the bad evil king, and is the evil king and the evil witch. And I remember there being the Prince Zarkon in the U.S. one, but I don't think I got far enough.
I think he shows up later.
Yeah, I didn't get far enough in GoLion to get to the prince.
So his deal is that he is the most powerful being. Like, this empire is basically conquering the entire universe bit by bit.
He's really a badass emperor of evil.
But he's also
Like
really
the Star Wars emperor.
really stupid and really simplistic in the things he wants. And that witch is the only one who actually knows what's up.
Yes, I mean he just wants to be more powerful. He's not stupid.
Well, I think he's, because watch him.
He's
All
not
he wants
completely stupid.
is-
He's just power hungry and simple.
he's simple. He's not stupid. He
Right.
wants to expand his power.
Yep.
And he's bored. And whenever he's bored, he asks the witch and that guy that generally sends out to go get him more slaves to fight in the arena to make more Death Black Beast.
There was one thing I noticed I got to talk about. I brought this up to everyone already, but
Yeah?
the listeners haven't heard it. There's a scene where he's talking to the witch, and he's casually has this giant drumstick that he's gnawing on.
Oh, yeah, the drumstick.
Right. He's got this giant drumstick he's just chomping on while he's talking to the witch, and they don't say anything.
So, Scott, all I'm going to say is that scene reminds me of the non-man that we meet in the later Prince of Nothing books with his oil.
Right.
Yeah.
But anyway, he's chomping on this drumstick as just like scenery. Like at least it's like, hey, at least they're animating something. They're not just having a still frame of him, right? Not, good job, right? You put in the effort to animate him eating this drumstick. But it's like, wait a minute. You live on this horrible slave planet. I've seen this slave planet.
There's nothing but slaves.
It's a fucking wasteland, and I already know you feed slaves to beast men, and I haven't seen any other fucking livestock around here. The emperor is eating slave meat. There is no...
Oh,
they don't say it.
The slaves are eating slave meat,
Yeah.
and they do say that.
They don't say what the emperor is eating, but 100%, if you have any logic whatsoever, he's just eating slave meat.
So...
Also, they draw. It's not just human slaves. There are all sorts of different alien species.
Oh,
like
yeah.
a Star Wars number of different alien species.
This
of
empire
slaves.
literally only seems
He
to
could
have
be
two...
eating Wookiee meat.
It only has two wings. One wing is the Empire's army going out and conquering more land, and the other wing is this general going out to collect more and more slaves to fuel these dark purposes.
Yep.
That's it. That's literally the full extent of what these people are up to.
And they eat the slaves too, so it's literally like this. The people going to get slaves are literally farming.
It's a hunger from the outside.
Yeah.
So, where the show actually begins is that the slave ship lands after these slaves get whipped to the shit, and then they take all the ones who are too whipped to continue and immediately grind them up into meat. And all the ones who can continue are thrown into an arena to fight one of these Death Black Beastmen. And they basically all get killed. And then we cut to our...
you're sitting here with no weapons, and there's a Death Black Beast man.
Yeah.
You are so... Voltron, you need a Voltron to fight one of those, and you're just a person.
Yeah.
Get fucked.
So then we cut to our 5 badasses, and you learn from them, because they're just in a prison cell, that literally every slave who is in this planet still and alive fought and killed a Death Black Beastman by themselves.
Yep.
So we already know that these 5 badasses are the baddest ass badasses. And they're in this cell, and they accidentally look out a window, and they discover that all the meat they've been eating is slave meat. And they're just like, let's fucking break out of here.
Yeah, and they actually have a really good logic, which I appreciate being in this show, which is, look, if we try to break out and get caught, what are they going to do? Turn us into slave meat? Well, what else are we going to do? Fight a Death Black Beast man and get murdered by it and get turned into slave meat?
Or keep fighting Death Black Beastmen and not get eaten and probably eventually get turned into a Death Black Beastman.
Right, so it's like there's no good option. It's not like there's an incentive to not try to escape if you're going to be killed. It's like if you're on death row, what are you going to do if they try to escape? Shoot you? You might as well try to escape.
And
the only reason you don't do that in the real world is because this might be a legal way to escape if you get lawyers.
They've already killed a Death Black Beastman, as we know.
Yep.
So they escape pretty trivially.
I mean, the prison is less strong than a Death Black Beast Man.
Yep, and they're stronger than one basic Death Black Beast Man.
Yep.
So, and it's funny because
Let's
when
see how
all
many times we can say Death Black Beast Man.
it gets said a lot in the show.
Oh yeah. Okay.
I just
So
saw the
anyway,
Wikipedia quote for GoLion's
the point
hubris.
is, they escape, they steal a slave ship, they run away, and of course, by chance, they land on the planet of where Voltron is.
It seems
I
like
forget the name. Is the planet Allura? Or is
Altea.
Altea. Allura
So-
is the princess's name.
Allura is the name of the planet in Voltron, I think.
Allura is the princess's name in Voltron.
And the name of the planet, I think.
Is it? I don't know. But it's planet Altea. Whatever. It's the Voltron planet.
So it's not clear from the first 6 episodes whether or not Voltron called them to the planet, whether or not the princess and the badass mustache guy, the strategist, called them to the planet, or if it was just dumb chance. But it seems like a signal happened and they were drawn to the planet for the purpose of there's never been 5 badasses capable of piloting Voltron, and mustache guy and
Yet
princess.
somehow the long-lost king of this planet, the princess's father, knew who was piloting Voltron in his day.
I don't know.
Yeah.
We don't-
And how did he know about it?
And basically now we've got this planet that has all this ridiculous precursor technology, some of which was built by the people who were on the planet.
Yeah, the king definitely made that castle.
but
right?
he didn't make Voltron.
No.
So that's an that precursor. It's kind of like the same level of precursor tech as He-Man. Like
It's
that
almost
kind of
like it's
thing.
all a little Metroid kind of.
Yeah, Metroid as well.
Right. You know.
And one thing leads to another, and they get Voltron going. And this planet was destroyed by the Empire.
Yeah, the Empire basically destroyed this planet and then ignored it, but there were people hiding out on it, including the princess, the guy who's in the castle with her
And Voltron.
and Voltron, and all these. You learn eventually that a lot of the citizens were living in caves and hiding.
Yep.
And then the Empire left before it got them
There's
all.
this great moment where our 5 badasses, they're fighting off Empire troops just with pistols or sticks or whatever, and they're totally fine. And then they start bitching, yeah, all these survivors on this planet are baby-ass wimps. And then the princess is like, you shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
You have no idea what they've been through.
That's right.
But it is true that they are more badass than pretty much any other people on this planet, except Mustache Guy and the princess.
Well, I mean, it kind of makes sense. If you're Earth in that day and age where there's probably been who knows how much evolution, genetic engineering, technology, right? And you're sending people into space to go far, you're sending badasses, and they're going to be way badass, right?
Yep.
I mean,
They're
come on.
badass in that Leiji Matsumoto way.
Right. Imagine the Earth you live on, the real Earth, 1,000, 2,000 years from now, assuming we have good things happening in scientific progress, what kind of badass people we're going to send into space, right? Come on. Anyway.
So that's it on a
Yeah.
high level. That's the show.
Yeah, once they get Voltron going, which takes a while, it's pretty much the Empire sending a Death Black Beast to fight them every episode. Then they use their powers to make the Death Black Beast super big and super strong so that you need giant Voltron to fight it, because they start out normal, sort of slightly larger than human size.
Yep.
At one point, as not a spoiler, the witch comes to the planet and totally murders the quiet Sven guy, and then the princess has to take his place.
The witch
and
is
pilot
clearly
that
the driving force between the whole empire.
Yeah.
And that cat, you get so many shots of that cat's eyes glowing.
Well, the cat is sort of the counterpart to the mice, right?
true.
The
And the mice are the good animals.
Yeah, there's good animals, and sort of like Smurfs. There's the evil cat.
Yeah.
And in Inspector Gadget, there's Brain, and then the evil cat, the claw cat.
Yep.
Right. It's a common thing it's still a
Oh
kid.
my God. On the Wikipedia article, space mice are listed as allies.
Yeah.
A family of 5 mice that live in Gradam
But
Castle.
the thing is, even though it's Monster of the Week, it's when Voltron cuts these monsters down in GoLion, right? Voltron cuts monsters down, it's just form blazing sword, and the monster's dead, right? And here, when GoLion cuts them, it's like this. They're cut in half. It looks like Kenshiro punched him. It's
Yeah.
The way it's animated and everything is super violent, right? At least for what you would expect.
Because it makes it very clear these are not robots. These are basically
Yeah, I think they called them row beasts in Voltron of US because
No.
to imply that they are robot beasts, but no. They are not. They are people that were slaves that got horribly infected with evil.
Yep. And I
Wow.
guess my big takeaway is that I expected to watch this and then we do a show on it. Okay, this was the thing we watched. But I kind of felt that same feeling watching the first 6 episodes that I felt the first time I started watching a bunch of Fist of the North Star.
You want to keep watching?
I feel like I could just occasionally watch an episode and keep going
it's like
with this.
even though it's Monster of the Week, it's like it sort of drags you on with its simple structure of making you want to keep going, and it has the added bonus of the slight amount of serial storytelling where things change a little bit each episode. It's not just the boring, super repetitive thing. And there, as far as I know, I've never seen it. There is an ending that like actually sort of wraps things up at the end. It's not just Monster of the Week and then suddenly no more.
Oh, I learned some stuff from Wikipedia. There's probably spoilers that I won't say. But yeah, I feel like I
Oh
can...
no, spoilers of
Yeah.
GoLion. Oh no.
It only came out before I was born.
Yeah.
So yeah, all I want to say is if you have Crunchyroll, you should watch the first episode of this, if nothing else, because it will give you a lot of perspective.
Yeah, Voltron is a big enough property in the world of nerdery that even if you don't like it, even if you don't give a shit, even if you hate mechas of all kinds, even if you hate animes, you should watch some GoLion and maybe even some US Voltron just so you have knowledge of this somewhat important nerd thing. And then if you don't like it, you don't have to watch anymore. But, it's like
Fist of the North Star. Not everyone watches
it's just,
all of Fist of the North Star.
It's good to know about, and maybe you'll like it. And then watch more.
Yeah, I liked it way more than I expected.
I know, right? It's like it surprised you.
Yeah. All right, that was a good show.